In recent times, as families across the United States struggle with the grim reality of food insecurity, when children go to bed hungry, parents skip meals, and food banks face record demand, it is heartening to witness a meaningful response from individuals who choose action over promise. In this moment, the Archewell Foundation has stepped in, quietly, firmly, and with purpose. Harry and Meghan Sussex have made it clear that when people face empty plates and uncertain tomorrows, food is not just a matter of sustenance, it is dignity, stability, care for one another. The hunger crisis in America is no longer a distant problem defined by statistics. It is knocking on doors, stretching budgets, forcing impossible choices between rent and groceries. Across the country, food banks and community organizations are working day and night to fill the gap. And in that terrain, the Archewell Foundation is not content with being a bystander. They are mobilizing support at a larger scale, partnering with local groups that deliver meals, rescue produce, give direct cash assistance to families, and restore a sense of hope when hope feels remote. On their website, the foundation states, "In a moment when families across the United States are struggling to put food on the table, we are making emergency donations to local partners who are providing immediate relief." Among the recipients are the Food Bank of Santa Barbara County, delivering meals and essential groceries to families across the Central Coast. Our Big Kitchen LA, preparing and distributing freshly cooked meals to those facing food insecurity. Project Angel Food, delivering grocery gift cards to clients impacted by recent cuts to SNAP benefits. Food Forward, recovering fresh produce from local farms and wholesalers to feed communities in need. Alma Backyard Farms, expanding their pay-what-you-can farm stands. And Lyft, providing direct cash assistance to families most impacted by the freeze in SNAP benefits and other economic hardships. These names may not always dominate front-page news, but they are the front line of relief, and Archewell is intentionally walking into that front line with them. Imagine the scene. In a modest warehouse somewhere, volunteers from a partner food bank load crates of fresh produce, meat, dairy, pantry essentials. Outside, families arrive in cars or on foot, children in tow, parents scanning the shelves of a pantry, volunteers handing guidelines and meal kits. For many, the relief comes not just as food, but as validation, that they are seen, that their hunger matters, that someone cares. Harry and Meghan Sussex appear committed to bringing that message out of the shadows. The foundation emphasizes that food is more than sustenance. It is dignity, stability, and care for one another. And that phrase captures a mindset shift, to address hunger not as a charity checklist, but as a vital human issue tied to worth and belonging. Because when families cannot reliably access food, the cost is deeper than empty stomachs. It is disrupted childhoods, strained relationships, frayed hope. In a country as wealthy as the United States, the persistence of hunger reveals structural cracks, the gap between abundance and access. According to recent data, 1 in 8 Americans relies on the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, and funding uncertainty has cast long shadows over the system. When the government's safety net falters, charities carry heavier loads, yet the moral responsibility remains collective. That's why this moment matters. Those with platform and capacity are choosing to act, to resource, to partner. Harry and Meghan Sussex through Archewell are part of that movement, not as relics of royalty, but as actors in solutions. Their involvement brings attention, but more than that, resources. What's remarkable is the blend of urgency and authenticity. These are not mere announcements, they are emergency donations, strategic partnerships, amplifying local actors. The Food Bank of Santa Barbara County, Our Big Kitchen LA, Project Angel Food, Food Forward, Alma Backyard Farms, Lyft, all have direct contact with communities in crisis, all are stretching resources, and through Archewell, these efforts are getting timely boosts. The narrative here is one of solidarity, not just top-down giving, but joining community-led relief, recognizing that those closest to need often know best how to respond. It's about tens of thousands of meals, fresh produce recovered, gift cards given, farm stands expanded, cash transfers to families. It's about the dignity of choice, letting families pick what they need rather than receiving what someone else assumes they do. And while the headlines often focus on celebrity glitz, this work happens behind the scenes: logistics, funding, partnerships, movement. There's little glamour in shelving, distributing, tracking, coordinating, but there is immense value. The Archewell Foundation intentionally highlights that the crisis is real, and the response must be meaningful. Across the country, food banks and community organisations are working tirelessly to fill the gap and stepping up to meet the need. In that recognition lies the power: naming the need, supporting the local, mobilising the resources. And when factions of the country feel invisible, when families choose between heating and eating, such recognition can shift the felt experience from isolation to support. Meghan Sussex has long used her voice to champion community, empowerment, and compassion. From her earlier humanitarian work and the foundation of the Welcome Project to her partnership with food-focused organisations, she brings more than visibility. She brings advocacy. And Harry, too, shifts from symbol to action. When couples choose consistency over cameo, the impact ripples further. Their combined presence at this juncture, the hunger crisis in America, is meaningful. They're not just endorsing from afar, they are funding, amplifying, and aligning themselves with community-organised relief. One cannot ignore the optics: a couple who opted out of the institution, positioning themselves in a new role of public service, stepping into moments of real need. But optics alone don't carry meals or groceries. Action does. And that is exactly what the Foundation is embracing. Now let's step back and view the broader landscape. America's hunger crisis is tied to many intersecting issues: economic instability, rising food prices, supply chain disruptions, inflation, insufficient public support, and geographic inequities. For instance, food insecurity disproportionately affects families of colour, rural communities, and older adults. When policy lags or governments shift focus, community organisations fill the void. But community organisations need support, logistics, resources, and that is where the private and philanthropic sector have vital roles. The Archewell Foundation's recent announcement signals that they are rising to that role now, while crisis is active, not just waiting for the next pivot. There is also resonance in the message. When hunger and uncertainty knock, what we often need most is connection, care, dignity. Giving a family a choice of fresh produce, allowing them access to a pay-what-you-can farm stand at Alma Backyard Farms, or handing grocery gift cards via Project Angel Food. These are gestures that recognise families as agents, not simply recipients. For people facing systemic challenges, empowerment matters as much as grounding. When you are given a cup of soup, you're fed. When you're offered a path to healthy produce, you're included. And when you are told you are worthy of that path, your hope rekindles. The Archewell Foundation seems attuned to that nuance, ensuring the relief responds with dignity. So what about other actors in the realm of royal or high-profile philanthropy? Let's consider Prince William. He launched his initiative aimed at ending homelessness in the UK, with the message that homelessness could be rare, brief, and unrepeated. It was bold, it was ambitious. But for many observers, a question lingers. If homelessness is to become rare, brief, and unrepeated, where is the concrete evidence of large-scale transformation? On many streets, shelters remain full, rough sleeping persists, families are still without stable housing. The intention was noble, but intention alone does not fill plates or safe beds. It does not restore dignity when someone doesn't know where their next meal is coming from or where they will sleep tonight. While the scope of homelessness is different from hunger, the principle is similar. Bold promises and reality must meet. In contrast, what we are seeing with Harry and Meghan Sussex is less about infinite ambition and more about immediate action. When people face hunger today, the Foundation is stepping in today. The timeline matters. The hunger doesn't wait. The children don't postpone their empty stomachs. The families don't delay their needs. And in this, the Archewell Foundation is offering the kind of response that meets the moment. To be clear, this is not a criticism for the sake of tearing down. It is a call for accountability and consistent impact. If someone says they will end homelessness, the metrics of progress matter. If someone says they will relieve hunger, the meals must arrive. And when systems falter, the community-based organizations carry the load, and the partnership with those organizations is where change lives. Harry and Meghan Sussex have shown up in that space, aligning with local food banks, community farms, distribution networks, direct assistance. In doing so, they connect their platform to tangible relief. They meet individuals where they are, not just where the cameras are. They say, relief doesn't wait for theory. It waits for a truck full of groceries, a partner food bank, a family picking up produce. And it waits today, not tomorrow. From a fan perspective, from a supporter's heart, it feels like a shift in narrative. From royal duty as symbolism to service as substance. The notion that you can walk away from institutional constraints, forge a new path, and still anchor yourself to purpose. It resonates. And for the Foundation's work at this juncture, the hunger crisis in the US is a timely place to anchor that purpose. Those who have watched the Sussexes over time recognize that this is not mere PR. It is a sustained strategic thrust. The announcement of emergency donations, the named partner organizations, the detailed belief statements, all convey a commitment rather than a fleeting gesture. The message is, we are here, with you. Not for the spotlight, but for the meals, the produce, the dignity. As the night ends and the streets quiet, families across America will still wake up hungry. But thanks to the support flowing through Archewell's partnerships, dozens, if not hundreds of local programs will operate more strongly. Pantries will distribute more food, produce will reach kitchens, families will get gift cards, volunteers will deliver meals. The ripple effect may not be visible across every city headline, but for those in the line of need, it matters. For a parent who doesn't know how they'll feed their children this week, those flowed resources give breathing room. For a child who arrives at school with a full stomach, their ability to learn and thrive rises just a little. For a community that's been living on the margins, the message that somebody sees them is as important as the box of food they receive. In summary, the hunger crisis in America presents a challenge of scale and urgency. The Archewell Foundation, through Harry and Meghan Sussex, is stepping in with clarity of purpose and operational partnerships. They recognize hunger as dignity, they act with urgency, and they bolster local actors who know the terrain. Meanwhile, high-profile philanthropic promises, such as those of Prince William's homelessness initiative, remind us that grand ambitions must translate into grounded delivery. The difference here is responsiveness and proximity to need. The difference is showing up in real time, in real communities. And when the system lags, when the state wobbles, when families still face empty tables, that difference is far more than symbolic. It is sustaining. In a world where celebrity philanthropy too often drifts into visibility without substance, this feels like a moment of alignment. Platform meeting purpose, resources meeting need, dignity meeting action. Here's to the work that reaches the meal, the hand, the heart. And here's to Harry and Meghan Sussex, anchoring their legacy not in title or ceremony but in service.